Hello everyone and welcome back to another video on the Nathan's Numbers YouTube channel. Today we'll be looking at fractions and more specifically doing calculations with them. So adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing, those sorts of things. So when you're adding fractions, if they've got the common denominator, then you can just add the numerators and leave it at that. So if I've got, for example, 1/4 add 5/4, since they're the same denominator, we call the denominator is the number on the bottom. If that's the same, you can just add the numbers on the top, keep the denominator the same. So 1 over 5 is 6, so get 6/4 or 3 over 2. Okay, now how do we do that when the denominator is not the same? So let's say I've got a quarter, add an eighth. Pause the video and have a go. So, if you have done it correctly, you'd know that we'd need to get a common denominator. Now, the way we can do that is we can change this fraction here so that the denominator is 8. So the way that we do that, if we want to change the 4 to an 8, we obviously do 4 times 2, so that gives us 8. So we can take the quarter, times it by 2. However, what you do to the top, you must also, what you do to the bottom, you must also do to the top. So we're doing 1 times 2 as well. So we end up with 2 over 8, and that's equivalent to a quarter. So now knowing that, we can then rewrite it as 2 over 8 plus 1 over 8, which is 3 over 8. Therefore, 1/4 add 1/8 equals 3/8. Okay, so that's adding. And then the same sort of method works for subtracting. So if I've got 2/5 minus 1/5, obviously denominator is the same, so you can just take them away. So 2 minus 1 is 1/5. Obviously, if you need to change it, so if I've got 1/5 minus 1/10 to get 5 to 10, because we want to get the common denominator, do 5 times 2, so we times that by 2 as well. So we get 2/10 minus 1/10, which gives us 1/10. So it's the same with subtraction. Now, where it gets a little more tricky is when we look at multiplying and dividing. So if we multiply fractions, you don't actually change anything. So if I've got 1/4 times 2/5, if I'm multiplying that, all I do is I do the numerator, which is the top numbers. The top numbers equals the numerator, and the bottom numbers are what's called your denominators. So we do 1 times 2, which is 2, over 4 times 5, which is 20. And obviously simplifying that, because we want to give our answers in the simplest form for any question, we get a 10th. So, here is another question. If I've got 3/5 times 4/8, what would the answer to that be? And simplify it to its fullest. Pause the video and have a go. So, we do 3 times 4, which is 12, over 5 times 8, which is 40. 12 over 40, we can simplify it if we divide everything by 2, since it's all divisible by 2. We can do simplifications. Doesn't have to jump straight to the simplest answer. You can do small simplifications to get to your end one. So if we divide it all by 2, we can get 6 over 20. Divide it all by 2 again, so it's all divisible by 2. We get 3 over 10. Okay, so that's your answer there. And that is how you multiply fractions. Now, the last little thing I want to go over with is what we call keep, change, flip, which is what you use to divide. So if I've got a quarter divided by a half, what we do is keep, change, flip. So the way this works is we take the one on the left, so this fraction here, we keep it the same, so we've got a quarter. we change the sign, so we change the divide, and we always just change it to a multiplication, and then we flip this fraction here. So we turn it around. That's the way you can do divisions. Okay, so the way it works, you change the divide sign, or you keep this fraction the same, the one on the left, doesn't matter what the fraction is on the left, whatever you're working out, you keep it on the left, you keep it the same, you change the divide sign to a multiplication, and the fraction on the right, you flip it. So for this example, we changed a half into 2 over 1, which is also just 2. So for example, if I was dividing by 3/4, when I flip it, it'll be 4 over 3. So I flipped it, I've got a quarter times 2 over 1. Now I just multiply it like normal, so 1 times 2 is 2, over 4 times 1, which is 4, which means after simplifying, I've got a half. And that is how you divide fractions with keep, change, flip. Just remember that whenever you're dividing fractions, and you can't go wrong. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.